What's up, my ninjas? I am Strident, and here I am with my thoughts on Shingeki no Kyojin, Attack on Titan. So far, I think it's up to episode 13 just dropped this week, so 14 will be out this on the 6th. Anyway, so I think everybody has been, and I was super excited when this anime came out because it was the freshest thing that we've had in years. I mean, like, so many anime that come out are so derivative and so similar to something else that we've seen in the past, and it seems like that's the status quo for anime in general. And then here comes Attack on Titan, where it's something completely different. At least conceptually, it's completely different. So everyone knows the plot. Essentially, we are dropped in the middle of this world that exists within several walls. People are hiding in these walls away from the giants who live outside of the walls. There's no indication or explanation as to where the giants came from, but they eradicated what the rest of humanity that was outside of the walls. They built the walls to hide and keep themselves protected. And first episode, giants break the wall, slaughter people, and we're introduced to our main characters, 3 young people that decide they want to fight back after several tragedies happen, as on account of the giants. The main character is Eren Yeager. He later on, with little explanation, he develops or has the latent ability to transform into a Titan, or create a Titan body around him that he can control to fight the Titans. Before he gets to learn about this power, he is consumed with rage and hatred about the death of his mom, the murder of his mom at the hands of a Titan, and he wants to eradicate all Titans, so he wants to join the military so that he can do so. He wants to join the Recon Corps. They are the king's soldiers that actually go out and fight Titans. So long story short, it's a revenge story. His, I want to say friend, but she's kind of like a surrogate sister, or a adopted sister, I mean. Her name is Mikasa. She's like this badass Japanese chick who can fight better than most of the people in the show. And there's not much of an explanation for it, except for the fact that she's Japanese, and it's done by a Japanese artist, writer, and the anime itself is done by, the manga is done by a Japanese artist, writer, and the manga is done by a team of Japanese artists and writers. That's the only explanation I can give for why she's so badass. And Armin is a little tactical genius, but he's not very much of a gifted soldier. He just does enough to get by on the physical front, but his brain is his strength. And he's pretty caring too, so he's kind of, more the heart and soul of this group. So to give you the short version of everything, you pretty much get to see the 3 of them join the Recon Corps, become good soldiers, deal with various issues, meet weird characters and some not so weird characters, some really straightforward characters, and then you see the revelation of Eren's power. When this power is revealed, people react to him in a strange way, and it's kind of like, holy crap, what the fuck? Everybody's surprised. But this is where the series starts to get stupid, in my opinion. And I know I'm probably the minority on this, but I've seen a lot of reaction videos on YouTube where people were just like, seriously? Number one, they kill off Eren, so to speak, in quotation marks, really early in the series, and then they reveal to you his power afterwards. You know what I mean? So his power helps save him. The fact that they kill him off and the way they kill him off is like one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. It's really like super melodramatic, and that begins to be a theme with this show. The show is extremely melodramatic and extremely slow in its approach in its storytelling approach. something that could take 2 sentences takes 3 episodes. I mean, it reminds me of the old Dragon Ball Z episodes with the pacing being so slow that a fight would take a month worth of episodes coming on every day. You'd be like, seriously? So every day for 4 weeks, I'm watching them talk about what's about to happen, and then 2 punches are thrown, and then it's a month later? Like, that makes no sense. You don't even see any of these Recon Corps members or Survey Corps members. You don't see any soldiers take down giants until, I want to say, like 5 or 6 episodes into the series, maybe even 7. It's somewhere around that number, and I'm sitting there like, what? The first episode, you see this really cool introduction to the Recon Corps, and they're on horses and they're swinging through the forest, and they're pumping each other up and saying, we're gonna, we've got to slaughter all these giants, we got to do what we got to do, or else mankind is doomed, so let's at least strike a blow for mankind. Then it cuts to something else. When you see them a couple episodes later, they're carrying parts of their homeboys back to the base or back to town and whatnot, and they failed, and they're all walking around with their heads down, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, what's the purpose of having these people who you tell us are the elite and they're supposed to be really awesome, and then we don't see them do what you just told us they can do? The same goes for our main characters. Eren is built up as this tenacious kid who has such drive to make him good, and then every time he reaches a milestone, and he does something awesome and he gets really cool or whatever, then there's something to set him back. And the whole series is full of this, like, cliffhanger-esque storytelling where every freaking episode, every time there's exposition, there's a cliffhanger. And it's frustrating because, if everything is a cliffhanger, then after a while, you kind of, for me at least, I don't care. It's kind of like, the rules of escalation. Escalation is a gradual thing. If your first act started out with the intensity that the final act should have, and then the final act is just meh, it's got like the middle act kind of intensity, would you really care anymore? There's a lot of movies. The freaking Dark Knight trilogy, the Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, is exactly that. Begins was a strong point. Dark Knight was like the high point. Rises was like not even as big. It really didn't hit the way that even Begins hit. So people were kind of like, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, you can't do it like that. Even Blade actually had that issue. The first movie, he fights freaking Deacon Frost as the Blood God. The second movie, he just fights a Reaper. And you're like, you should have switched them around. Third movie, he fights Dracula, and it was like a whimper. No one cared because there was no imagination put into it. The same thing is going on here in a different way. Instead of giving you information and giving you a rest, they make almost every single episode up to so far, up to 13, has been a cliffhanger. It's always to be continued in the middle of a conversation that's kind of important, or most of the time it's after some action happens that it's like life altering for some of these characters. Then it's like to be continued, and I get it. At first, it's a good way to get your people, your audience, interested and get them to keep on coming back. But after that, I mean, you're stringing your audience along. It's the slowest exposition that I've seen in a long time. They're deliberately not telling you things that they need to tell you. The pacing of all the episodes, many of them are just like weird. It goes from like high action to like something boring that's not as interesting as the important big deal that's happening, simultaneously with this stupid romance or drama bullshit that they throw in. Like the episode before the last one, they needed Eren to use his ability to pick up a boulder and plug a hole that was created by the Titans during the last attack. So they build up a whole episode of him thinking about what he's going to do and how he's going to do it and can he do it and blah, 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 over and over and over and over and over. You're hearing, can I do it? Can I do it? I have to do it. Mankind needs me. Blah, 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 blah. Repeatedly, they drill it into your head. And, we're not stupid. If we've watched anime, some of us have watched hundreds, if not thousands of anime or hundreds of movies and read books. If they build something up like that, my brother and I call it 10 shadowing. You're building it up only to tell us that it's not going to happen. So, of course, when the time comes for him to pick up this boulder and plug the wall, everybody else is doing what they're supposed to do. And guess what? He turns around and he attacks one of his friends. You're like, oh, of course. And the minute he does it, guess what? To be continued. You're like, seriously, dude? Like, it's not like we didn't see it coming. And it's a frustrating mix and a balance that needs, it's frustrating that the balance is not being met, because I want to know what happens. I almost want to just read the manga because I could get through the manga faster than they're going to get through the story in this freaking anime, It makes me excited that there is a live action movie coming, and the live action movie probably will get to the point a lot faster than this series did, because they're dragging shit out for the sake of dragging shit out. And it's frustrating to watch because we have a good series. We have a very well done series as far as, production values, character design, set design, it's well done, but it's just the writing is fucking horrible, and this is, I probably am the minority, and I'm aware of this because a lot of times I tend to be in the minority, when you've got brown skin, you get used to being the minority. But in this, with anime, it's almost like I've outgrown a lot of these things, and it frustrates me because, you have a lot of good premises, but they're not handled with the kind of conviction necessary to make this thing truly epic. And I think that's what's going on here. Granted, there's a lot of epic things that are set up. It's just that the level of imagination used when our characters in this story deal with these problems or are put in these situations that could be epic, they don't utilize them to that point, I mean, in the whole army, there's about 6 people who can actually take down giants. 6 people. They all study, and they have different ranks, and they have different groups, different corps or battalions, if you will. And there's one that's supposed to be the shit, but only one of their guys seems to be so awesome, and everybody else seems to be, meh. In the recon corps, same thing. Trainee corps, you have like 1 or 2, and there's a couple characters that are obviously giants, and they don't explain that to you. Or like the revelation that you cut the back of their necks, but then you see Eren come out of the back of the neck of a giant. They don't, it's not hidden well enough that we're not going to figure out that other people are inside the necks of those giants. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It just seems really, I don't know. It's starting to lose me. It's been starting to lose me. It lost me a while ago, actually. All in all, it's not that the show is horrible, because like I said, it's probably the best thing we've gotten in years as far as, originality goes, and as far as grabbing us with the concept. It's all about the delivery of the concept, and delivery of those ideas, and delivery of the dialogue, and delivery of, your exposition in the story. If you're torturing your audience as they wait for the explanation for all these things that you've created, all these questions that you've set up, then you're not doing a great job. You're not doing the best job delivering your story to people. I mean, cliffhangers are cool, but if you notice, most things don't do cliffhangers every single day. Every episode just should not be a cliffhanger. That's where I'm going with this. And that's the thing that's making me not pay attention to this. I mean, I went back and I started watching Garo Makai Senki, and then I saw the new Garo season 3, and I was like, shit, I'm gonna watch that. I think in the time that it took for me to get from episode I want to say 10 to 13, which is 3 episodes, I watched all 11 or 12 episodes of Garo season 3 up to this point. I think there's one that should be out this week. Or I'm sorry, yeah, up to 13, yeah. And it's weird, the stories in there have a driving, uh, they have this rhythm. It just keeps going like a forward momentum. And there are cliffhangers, but the cliffhangers are usually answered between, one or two episodes, mostly one episode so far. They have cliffhangers with characters, which are arcs within an arc, you know what I'm saying? And they leave a question and then they answer the question. I'm kind of annoyed at the fact that I'm constantly having more questions about this show. I mean, so far, you've heard them talk about the world outside of the walls, but they haven't really told you what's outside of the walls. I mean, Armin explains that his parents talk about, oceans and, places made of ice and seas of sand and all that stuff, but they haven't really shown it to you. Also, one of my viewers explained that it's in the future. I didn't know it was in the future. I didn't realize that it was in the future. I always thought it was a medieval story. But then, you look at the 3D maneuvering gear and then you're like, oh, okay, it has to be somewhat futuristic. It's anime. I just figured this is the design aesthetic for the show. Someone explained this is the future after the fall of humanity. I'm like, wow, okay. I wish I was able to get that from watching the show as opposed to, having to search for that information. I'm pretty sure they read the manga, and the manga explains that stuff. I started to read the manga, then I stopped because I'm like, you know what? I didn't read it to begin with. I don't want to get ahead of the show. I don't really like the art in the show, the art in the manga. I think it's real rough and sloppy. And then I saw some shots from later episodes where I was like, okay, it looks like dude's upping his game as far as his drawing ability goes, and it's not so sketchy and rough looking, So, I give people their props where it's due. I just wasn't feeling, like I said, the art in the manga. But, this show is I'm losing interest in it as much. It's painful because as much as I want to know what happens, the delivery of that information is not doing it for me in this series. There's so many other shows that do a better job of exposition, Give me that exposition or show me, you know what I mean? Don't wait almost 20 episodes to tell me, to answer a question that you started with in the first episode or the second episode, you know what I'm saying? And we're almost there, and there's tons of questions that were posed in the first 10 episodes, and we still haven't had answers for them. And I'm kind of frustrated, We're on episode 13, and they still haven't told us what's in Aaron's dad's basement. And it's not like we're all stupid. I bet you his dad is the colossal titan. Or has something, he definitely has something to do with it. You already know that the one, what was his name? That there's a member of the Recon Corps that is like a heavy set. I'm sorry, I messed it up. There are two soldiers that are in the Recon Corps that are the Armored Titan and the Colossal Titan. And you haven't really, I saw them in a couple episodes, but then in the last 3 or 4 episodes, you haven't seen them. And it's like, things like that are kind of what's frustrating me, you know what I mean? Or how all the people are, every time a town is attacked, after the attack, there's still people in the town, but you only see 1 or 2, and the rest are all giants. And, this is one of those things that there is a way that you can convey the suspenseful nature of this concept or this plot point without just mentioning it and then abandoning it until you feel like picking it back up, because this is it's a show, it's a series, it's got a finite a beginning and an end. It's not like the manga, where the manga has to keep these cliffhangers going so that you buy each issue. And then even worse is that manga usually is in volumes. So if a whole volume goes by and you haven't told us some of this information, that's poor storytelling, man, because volumes of information, that's not just 10 episodes, that's like 50. When 50 go by and you haven't answered simple questions, something's wrong, you know what I'm saying? And I doubt that's how it is with the book. I could be wrong, but like I said, I'm losing interest in this series. So that's kind of where I stand with this show. The one thing I will say though is there are good points to the show. Like I said in the beginning, it's extremely original as far as concept goes because most anime does not hit you the way this one did. The art style is light years better than the manga. There's redesigns of certain things like Aaron's Titan form, and the version that's in the anime is light years better than what's in the manga. The manga is kind of generic looking, which is sad because that's the guy's idea. That's the way it came out of his head, and someone improved on that. So, props to them for finding a balance with that. The ideas and the way some of these ideas, like the 3D maneuvering gear, the way it's shown in the show and the things that it can do, I like that. I mean, sometimes the animation is too fast, so you miss all those little details. You got to keep on rewinding it so you can see, oh, he flipped right there. Oh, he ran and, was running on the wall and jumped off and did something. Like there's little things that it all happens so fast whenever they're using it and they decide to go ham on the animation that you miss that stuff. But there are moments where the animation is it's superb. So I give them props. I did get to see through an unnamed source, I got to hear and see a little bit of what the next season is going to be like, and I already am not happy. They're changing the intro music. I mean, why would you change? Is it a rule that all anime and Japanese programming like this has to have a new intro every season? The new intro is not even remotely as epic as this first season is. I mean, it's well done music, don't get me wrong, but it's like gone is the epicness that we had here, and they left us with something that's a little bit more generic, and I'm not feeling that. It feels like this show is on a decline, you know what I'm saying? Same thing with, I had this problem with the second season of Akiba Ranger. It was like, they promise a whole lot of things, you get it, but it seemed like something is missing. Something that made the first season magical and interesting and, funny as hell, it's missing in the second season. So only time will tell if the second season will be worse or, will not repeat the awesomeness of the first season. And I know some of you are just like, whatever. You can take my opinion with a grain of salt because I am not an otaku. I just like good stories and cool ideas. I'm not into it for the sake of it being anime. I'm into it because it's an interesting story that I haven't seen done in any other form. I want to see more, though. These people are too helpless. It's my biggest issue. They're giants. There's no way a giant can be that big and then have super speed, healing factor, super strength, super hearing. I mean, one of them freaking snipes Aaron's leg off as he's swinging through the air. Have you ever tried to grab a fly? It's really hard to do. And these guys snatch people out of the air as they're being zipped around on their 3D maneuvering gear like it's nothing. And I'm like, if you didn't know that they were going where they're going and they just happen to start zipping around, it's going to be kind of hard. And if you don't have the intelligence to do complex things, how would you have the intelligence to, like, Mr. Miyagi one of these guys out of the air? You know what I'm saying? Like, shit like that makes me mad. And then they draw that shit out. Oh my God, he bit his leg off. Oh, will he get up? Oh my God. Shit like that, they need to stop. But overall, like I said, this premise is really promising. I'm hoping they up the ante. I'm really hoping that before this season is done, we get some like truly epicness, you know what I mean? Because people use the word epic for a lot of things that are not really epic, and this series, just by conceptually, it's epic, and I want to see that. That's why I'm so anxious to see what the live action one is going to be like, because I know they're going to take the opportunities to up the ante where the series failed because of length. A lot of the problem with this series is because it's a series and it's episodic. They drag things out that they could easily just tell you. You know what I'm saying? Or they could easily just show you. And that's one problem I've had with anime all across the board, especially the shows and series that are over 20-something episodes, when they're like 50 episodes and shit. Then I start losing interest because I got things to do. I can't I look forward to watching a show, but if you're not wrapping up an arc that started in the first season or the very first 2 episodes, like a character arc or something, if you're not wrapping that up in 10 episodes, I'm not interested anymore, man, because there's too much that I have to invest to get that little piece out of this whole thing. So I'm hoping that, our questions really start to be answered in the next couple episodes, you know what I'm saying? And then the next season, there's new questions or something, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's just my thoughts for now. It is kind of worth watching. It's probably more so worth reading because you can get further. But, figure it out for yourself. Check it out. This is just where I'm at right now. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I guess I'll see you on the next. Before I finish that, happy 4th. I hope you guys are all having fun, hanging out with family, friends, acquaintances, whatever, fellow YouTubers, people abroad, people right here, whatever. I hope you guys are enjoying your time. It's all about you and the people around you. So enjoy it. I'll probably do another quick little vid with just that message by itself, but this is just to everybody. Thanks for watching all these. Thanks for spending a little chunk of your time listening to what I have to say on a day when you're hanging out with people, and it means a lot. So thanks.